Well, apparently Nancy Pelosi has allowed the members of the House, I should say on the Democratic side, to finally take the muzzle off, take the gloves off, take the chain off, and now it's open season on AOC and the squad. Good afternoon, it's Pastor Marty with the Saturday edition of the Afternoon Drive here on YouTube. There's been this back and forth between Nancy Botox Pelosi and AOC, the artist formerly known as HIV, Alexandria Ocasio Cortez. Alexandria has been absolutely polarizing within the Democratic Party. Now, on the one hand, she has obviously been very popular in attracting the progressive left, the far progressive left, the lunatic left. She's very popular among young people and the youth vote. But the truth is, number one, young people's enthusiasm does not always translate into actual votes, and oftentimes, and they're not going to like this, they're voting from a place of emotion rather than a place of actual reason, evidence, and a full understanding of history and what works and what does not work and what is not right. They do it based on how they feel. And Alexandria Ocasio Cortez has tapped into that. Even Donald Trump has said of her, she needs to be taken seriously in the fact that she is legitimate. Not legitimate in her ideas that they're great ideas. I mean, that Green New Deal is just socialism on steroids. But she's real in the sense that she's got star power. There are people that listen to her. There are people, many people, that respond to her. So she has to be taken seriously. As I've said on here, she is dangerously psychotic. And I'm serious about that on a political level. She is poison. And now the Democrats realize, among the establishment Democrats, among mainline Democrats, and dare I say, among sane Democrats, they now realize, okay, we got to do something about her. We have to defang her. If they don't, they're going to lose the entire party. Now, all of this really started because of Bernie Sanders 4 years ago kind of coming out of the closet that it was okay to admit that you're a socialist and a watered-down communist and call yourself a Democrat. It's okay. It's okay. See, one of the ways that liberals for years have gotten themselves elected is to campaign as a moderate, sound on some issues even a little bit conservative, and then when you get to Washington, go ahead and govern like a liberal on certain social issues, and then on economic issues, pull back a little bit because we're going to do what the oligarch wants, and I want to stay in power for the next 40 years of my life, and I want to make sure I make some money while I'm here. So that got the progressive lefts all mad, and it's the same story on the right. Every 4 years, we would get candidates that would sound pro-life, they would sound pro-conservative, they would sound like traditional family values. Then they get to Washington, and they govern like rhinos, which is nothing more than a Democrat dressed in Republican drag. They're trans party affiliated. So Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez appeals to this rabid progressive left, but she's making inroads even among, and there are even young people who come from conservative backgrounds of families that are listening to the Andrew Yangs. They're listening to some of these other Democratic candidates and saying, you know, some of what they have to say is not bad. It's okay. See, Bernie Sanders and making it okay to talk like a socialist and still be a Democrat. In other words, we don't have to put the mask on anymore. Well, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez has just become now the logical product of that. I mean, she is the illegitimate love child of Nancy Pelosi and Chuck E. Cheese Schumer. Their ideology and philosophy birthed this. Now, we understand that they don't actually govern that way, but they love to placate to these people, get their vote, and now all those people have said, we don't want to just hear your speeches anymore. We want results on the things that you tell us. We want to see you actually put a transgender, bisexual, 60-year-old man who thinks he's an 8-year-old girl. We want him on the Supreme Court. We want them in Congress. I mean, this is what's happening. And the sane Democrats have woken up and saying, we got to stop this. And we got to stop this now. And if we have to sacrifice the 2020 election, we're going to. And that's where this is headed. And President Trump knows this. And the reason that so many on the left hate him, and even among young people who have come from very conservative backgrounds who, well, I don't like President Trump. He's too combative. He's too this. He's too that. See, what the Barack Obama administration successfully did, they failed to get through most of their political agenda through the legislative process. Thank God. Other than Obamacare, Obama strictly ruled by executive order, which President Trump came in and undid every single one of them. But President Obama, his philosophy, the czars that he surrounded himself with, the embracing of the rainbow flag and radical agendas and embracing of degenerate perversion, well, that doesn't just affect the left. That affects the right. That doesn't just affect progressive lib kids. That affects even conservative kids who, you know, you and I understand that not all that long ago, a Donald Trump type candidate saying what he said would not have raised any eyebrows. Now it raises eyebrows because even young people on the conservative side, they have been programmed. Be quiet. Be quiet. Be respectful. Be shh. And they've even been taught, you know, the way we're going to change liberals is to listen to them and to engage with them and then dialogue with them. And whether they want to call it lit, legit, woke, whatever other, you know, new buzzwords they come up with, Solomon said, there is nothing new under the sun. Liberals, by and large, cannot be reasoned with because reason has gone out the window. They are about the suppression of free speech, especially your speech, my speech, this speech. They are about embrace their ideas, but they're going to do nothing but demagogue, smear, lie, and distort our ideas. And we're just supposed to bend over and say, thank you, sir. May I have another? They lie without reservation or hesitation. You know, Alexandria Ocasio Cortez this week made a complete ass out of herself, talking about the inhumane conditions at our southern border detention centers and that we're basically killing children. And she's got pictures that she's showing that were all Obama-era pictures. She isn't even smart enough to know how to get pictures from now. But again, the mainstream media isn't going to expose her for the fraud that she is because they want this unraveling of American exceptionalism and traditionalism. The rewriting of our history. My own kids, I've had to have discussions with about things like, well, you know, Dad, Christopher Columbus and what he did to the native. Whoa, 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 whoa. Back the crazy train up before we all go sailing off the cliff into the abyss of stupidity. Even if Christopher Columbus and his crew brought germs to the Native Americans who were here, it was not by some diabolical plan. It wasn't like at that time they had any understanding of bioscience. It was simply people coming from another realm of the world, exposing themselves to a group of people that had never been around Europeans and whatever germs they were carrying at the time. There was nothing nefarious about it. And as far as the Native Americans that Christopher Columbus took captive and took back with him, he did so at the request of the Native Americans who were here and wanted the cannibals gone. But again, revisionist history, Christopher Columbus was an evil white guy who just wanted to subjugate brown-skinned people. Thomas Jefferson was an evil white guy who helped write the Constitution and wrote the Declaration of Independence, but he was an evil slave owner. But of course, they don't tell the whole story. That Thomas Jefferson fought for the equality of black men and lost repeatedly. Thomas Jefferson wanted to set his own slaves free, but knew that as soon as he did in Virginia, they would be rounded up by the authorities because it was against the law to set slaves free in Virginia. They would have been rounded up by authorities, sold to someone else, and Thomas Jefferson, rather than running the risk that they would be bought by somebody who would be evil, vile, and cruel to them, allowed them to live on his plantation as free men. But again, the narrative is evil white guy, because we got to get rid of all the documents, the founding of this country, the discovery of America by an evil white European, and then evil white guys that formed our government were all slave owners and they were all abusive because they want the Constitution gone. What is it that radical regimes do when they come to power? They erase the history. It's what happened in China. It's what happened in Korea. They erase the history. Adolf Hitler did it on a genocidal level with Jewish history and their participation in Germany and what they contributed to Germany. So when these people run around and burn flags and take knees as spoiled, overpaid brat athletes, the captain of the women's U.S. soccer team, oh, she's such a hero. Why? Because she can kick a ball through a goal the size of a garage door. That somehow makes her just a bastion of character and knowledge and wisdom. She plays a game. She plays it well. I can't say that. So Donald Trump comes along and basically governs like a boss, like a man, and the libloons don't know how to handle it, but the woke lib kids don't know how to handle it either. God, snowflakes, you guys are so mean, hate speech, vile. And the reason they're able to say all that and enjoy all that and the abundant freedom that they have is because people like us have paid the bills, fought and defended the country, kept it free. Thank God for a time such as this, if someone like Donald Trump sitting in the White House saying enough of the insanity. There's a passage of scripture which reads, "The old people wept while the young people shouted." It's the story of when they rebuilt Solomon's temple. See, nothing is as beloved to the Jewish culture, in particular the Jews in biblical times, as the temple. And when the temple in Jerusalem was destroyed, the temple of Solomon was destroyed, the goal was to get it rebuilt. Solomon's temple was opulent and wealth beyond imagination. There's detail in Scripture of the ornateness, the gold, the precious stones that went into building and erecting that edifice. When it was destroyed, they rebuilt it. It wasn't half the size. It had nowhere near the wealth of the opulence. But the young people shouted. But the old people wept. Because the old people had seen the glory of the first temple. And when they beheld this cheap imitation, this condo knockoff, this prefab housing Levittown wannabe, broke their heart. And sadly, that's where we are with the youth in America today. They think they're making the country better, but what they're really doing is they're cutting our legs off. Can you imagine if the Latino Irish boy Beto O'Rourke got elected? He apologizes for everything now. I'm sorry I'm white. I'm sorry I'm privileged. I'm sorry. Can you imagine him meeting with the leadership of North Korea? Can you imagine him? He's going to face down Vlad Putin so there's no more Russian collusion? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Are you serious? Are you outside your head right now? So our young people, they constantly settle for less, thinking it's more. Case in point, I'm in radio, have been most of my life. I actually started out in radio when we had these things called records that we played. And then records gave way to tape, and tape gave way to the CD, and now everything is an audio file. I use audio files. I have thousands and thousands of audio files. I get it. It's fast. It's easy. It's quick. Sound quality's not as good. You play an MP3, which is the industry standard, and it's compressed. Play an MP3 song next to a fine piece of vinyl on a really good stereo system, and there is absolutely no comparison. But you can put the iPhone in your pocket, take your music anywhere and everywhere, and you can put 10,000 songs on a zip drive the size of your thumb. But it's compressed. Notes are missing. It's not as sharp and clear as it should be on playback. But less is more. See, there was a time in America, more was more. You did it right. It was quality. You didn't build things to unplug them in 2 years, throw them away, and get another one, like computers and TVs and this consumer society we've become, and then shipping our jobs all across the planet to other places. And despite Andrew Yang and his theory, it's all been automated away. Oh, shut up, you lying loaf. It hasn't been all automated away. It went overseas because it was cheaper there, because we've bred our people to be consumers. Buy, 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 buy. Eat, 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 eat. Consume. But they don't know how to produce anything. They don't know how to build anything. They don't know how to make anything. And now we have a president that's bringing that back. And Andrew Yang says, oh, that's no. We have to give every single human being $1,000 a month. And what's his plan with that $1,000? Well, they'll spend it. They'll keep consuming. Understand he's just a drug dealer? See, there's no money in the cure. The money's in the comeback. So he wants you to keep consuming. And someday, the countries that do all of our manufacturing could well be our enemies in war. And we won't know how to make anything because they made it for us. But hey, we have an evolved society that's woke. You can't slander someone from the LGBTQ community. You can't crack a joke about that. You can't say, oh, that's stupid, that's gay. Oh, you can't say that. This is where we're at. This is what we have degenerated to. We are social justice warriors while we've lost our freedom, why we've lost our edge and our ability to build. And not just build a virtual reality, but we built the world. And we were the greatest force on planet Earth to be reckoned with, the United States of America. And how woke have we become? One big failed Afro-freaked ex-quarterback makes one comment to Nike, and they pull an American flag emblem off a sneaker. Because after all, we got to be woke. Doesn't matter that that flag represents the freedom that we have and the ability that Nike had to make billions of dollars through the years in this country. But hey, thank you, AOC. Thank you, Colin Kaepernick. Hey, thank you, the Squad and the woke left libloon kids. You probably detected by now that this video doesn't have a specific topic. It was just me on a Saturday afternoon after doing yard work, deciding I need to vent a little bit. Because the kid in the house next door never cuts a blade of grass, while his parents complain about the fact that he just has no work ethic. Well, get his fanny out of bed, take him to the garage, teach him how to start the lawnmower, and have him cut your yard. And then maybe he won't have time to get in trouble. Make him productive. And I don't mean just sitting in front of a screen doing this or doing this on a phone. and just hanging out and doing nothing. That's it. That is my rant for today. Give this a thumbs up, give me your comments, and make sure you have subscribed to the channel and smack the bell for my next rant.